Hey everybody, my name is Alex with Hake Hardware, and in this video we are going to go over setting up Prometheus as a service in Ubuntu. So I have a link to what Prometheus is if you're not too familiar, but basically the idea with Prometheus is that you might have an application that is publishing metrics. Prometheus can pull those metrics in and then send those to something like Grafana, where you can then set up a dashboard and monitor those metrics. So in this video, a lot of times I typically install Prometheus as a Docker container, but a lot of people don't want to spin up a whole Docker instance just to run Prometheus. So in this video, we're going to go over how to set it up as a service. So the first thing you're going to want to do is head over to the Prometheus download page and find the one that you want to use. So I typically don't use the betas. I'm going to go down here to Linux AMD 64. And I'm going to copy this link here. And then we'll head over to the terminal so that we can get this downloaded. Okay, so we're going to just do wget, oh, hands are in the wrong spot, wget dash capital P, and then we're going to specify the home directory and then the download link. So it's basically going to download this file to my home directory. And we have the file here, so we can extract it, tar-xvf. And we got a bunch of stuff here that was extracted to this Prometheus file. And we're just going to move that to etc Prometheus. So sudo move, and then we'll do just the folder here. And we're going to move it to etc Prometheus. All right, so that's where our Prometheus files are going to live. And at this point, we can just remove the tar file. We don't need it anymore. And then we're going to create a user that's going to run our Prometheus service. So sudo user add, you can do -r, that's for like system users. No create home. I don't actually know if you need to do no create home if you're doing -r. And then -- shell is bin false, so they won't be able to use a shell. And then Prometheus is the username. Okay. And then we want to set the ownership of this Prometheus executable here to be the Prometheus user. So we'll do sudo change ownership, and we'll do -r. I don't even, yeah, it's probably needed here because we're going to be specifying a directory, but no big deal. We can specify it anyway. Prometheus, Prometheus, and then etc Prometheus. Okay, now we're going to want to create a directory for Prometheus storage. So we'll do sudo make dir var lib Prometheus. And then we'll just set the ownership of that to our Prometheus user again. So sudo change ownership -r Prometheus Prometheus var lib Prometheus. There we go. Okay, so the ownership is set up for our two folders that we've created. And then we're going to create the service. So I'm just going to paste in this here, but it's in the wiki. You'll just do sudo nano etc systemd system prometheus.service. We're going to open it up with nano, which is a text editor. And then I'm just going to paste in the service here, but the basic idea is we're going to be calling the Prometheus executable. We're going to be specifying the config file is the prometheus.yaml file inside the same directory. Our storage is going to be that var lib directory that we set up. Web console and web console are going to point to the two files console and console libraries inside the Prometheus directory. And that's it. It's pretty simple. So Control X, then Y, then Enter to save. And we're going to reload the system daemon here. And then we are going to start sudo systemctl start Prometheus. sudo systemctl enable Prometheus. And enable just means every time we restart, it's going to start that service. And then let's just make sure that it is running. Sudo systemctl status Prometheus. And we can see it's active and enabled, and we are ready to start publishing metrics. And you can actually go to the web front end at this point to view the Prometheus, I guess, web front end. So let's go over to our Firefox here, and I should be able to just go to this. Well, it's not going to be localhost. So I'm running this on another server, so I can't just do localhost. So if the service is running on another PC, replace localhost with the IP of that. So if I go back over to Termius here, I can do IP A, and I can see this is my IP address here. So I'm just going to copy that and go back over, and I can just do this 9090, and that brings up Prometheus. So right now we just have our endpoint for Prometheus, which is in the config by default. And as we add more things to the config, they're going to show up under the status targets. So that's going to be all the endpoints that you have enabled in the config. So let's see, is there anything else we need to do here? Okay, so when you want to add new endpoints for scraping, so let's say you have another service that's publishing metrics to like 9100, what you would do is go back in here, and you would do sudo nano etc prometheus.yaml, and you're going to add basically a new job here, or with whatever it is. So maybe it's node exporter, maybe it's a DCGM exporter for like GPU metrics. You're going to add a new job, and then you're going to set the static configs and the target for where that is. So if I was running node exporter on here on like port 9100, I would add localhost 9100. The job name would be node exporter. And then I would have to save this file, and then I'd want to do sudo systemctl restart Prometheus. And what that would do is basically reload the config. So every time you make a change to the config, you need to restart the service. Let's just jump back to the browser here. So now if you want to use Grafana, you can, I have a guide here in the general section on running Grafana and then how to set up a PDC agent. So if you are using Grafana Cloud, you'll need to set up a PDC agent. And once you set up that PDC agent, there'll be instructions on how to add Prometheus as a data source. So we'll just cover that real quick now since I have it all set up. So we'll go over to my private data connect, and I have this PDC Hake hardware testing. Let me just make this a little bigger, I think it might help. And I'm going to go to data sources, and then I'm going to do add new data source. It's going to be Prometheus, and then we're just going to do like Prometheus testing. And then we need to put in the URL. So if I remember correctly, yeah, you have to actually put in the internal IP address. So we saw it was 192.168.6999 for me. So I'm going to actually use that again for the data connect here. So http://192.168.99. And that's really it. So you put in the name, you put in the Prometheus server URL, and then you've set up the PDC agent, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and look for this private data source connect. And then mine was PDC Hake hardware testing. So I should be able to click save and test, and we can see it successfully queried the Prometheus API. So we're good. This data source has been connected, and if I were to like create a dashboard, I would be able to like select the Prometheus testing data source, and then any metrics in here that I could get, which it's all just like, I believe Prometheus ones at this point. Yeah. I would be able to actually bring in to this dashboard. So that is how you can connect your Prometheus service to your PDC agent service, which then publishes everything to Grafana, and then you can pull in that Prometheus data source for any sort of uh, dashboards you want to set up. All right, I think we are good. Going all the way back here to, yeah, so there you go. So as far as like uh, things you can add to Prometheus, if you're just curious, there's Ubuntu. You can do the node exporter service. We also have GPU monitoring. So if you want to monitor your GPU, there's a guide on how to get the NVIDIA GPU exporter working. And I'm sure there's more. There's another one where you can monitor like your Docker containers if you're running Docker. There's lots of different ways, different things you can monitor. So feel free to check out the other guides, check out the other videos. And if this was helpful, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.